If you lie constantly, you are a liar, and the act of lying establishes the character trait in you. Kung palagi kang nagsisinungaling, ikaw ay sinungaling, at ang kilos ng pagsisinungaling ay nagtatag ng katangian iyon sa iyo. A virtuous person. Person is not simply one who just does a good right to act once in a while, rather a virtuous person is someone who constantly chooses the right act for the right motives. Ang isang banal ay hindi lamang isang taong gumagawa ng mabuti o tamang gawain paminsan-minsan. Minsan, sa halip ng isang banal na tao ay isang patuloy na pinipili ang tamang kilos para sa tamang motibo. A virtuous character. We are judged by our character, not specific actions. Tayo ay hinusgahan ng ating karakter hindi lamang sa mga partikular na aksyon, kundi pati na rin sa ibang taong. An individual who has developed excellent character traits is just as a morally good person. Ang isang individual na nakabuo ng mahusay na mga katangian ng karakter ay hinusgahan bilang isang mabuting tao sa moral, hindi lamang sa iba kundi pati sa ating sarili.
The difficulty of being good. It says that is why it is hard to be good, for it is always hard to find the mean in anything. So what does it mean? It means that achieving moral or being a virtuous is difficult. Why? Because finding the middle ground or the mean between two extreme is not always easy. Virtue is not all about avoiding vices, wrongdoings, but also about striking a balance between different qualities or behaviors that are necessary for living a good life. Finding this balance requires a wisdom, self-control, and deep understanding of what is truly important and valuable in life. Therefore, being virtuous requires ongoing effort, reflection, and self-discipline. Kanina, nabanggit ko ang about sa mean. So, ano nga ba ang mean na ito sa virtue? So, mean is the midpoint. Please remember, it is the midpoint of two opposite values or the middle ground between two extremes. So, what are those extremes? Aristotle also states that each virtue has a golden mean. So, kanina, yung mean na ito or yung middle point is what we call the golden mean between the vices excess and deficiency. So let's have the meaning of excess and deficiency. Excess is the amount of something that is more than necessary, while deficiency is the lack of something or the shortage. So according to Aristotle, the virtues are qualities that help individuals find the mean or balance between two extremes. So what are those virtues? So here are the list of some virtues. The first one is the courage. So courage is the ability to face danger or difficulty in calmness and resolve. So what are those excessive and deficiency? So let's have an example first of the courage. For example, a firefighter who enters a burning building to rescue people is acting courageously but not recklessly. They have the necessary training, equipment, and knowledge to assess the risk and inform decision about how to proceed safely. They are not fearless, but they have their own courage to face danger and put others' safety before their own. So it means that the middle ground of this virtue, courage, is lakas ng loob. So the excessively and the deficiency, ito yung pinagigitnaan niya ang courage. So what are the excessively and deficiency of courage? The excessively of the courage is recklessness or pagwalang ingat. So If these firefighters doesn't or hindi nag-iingat or walang plano na wala silang plano na kung paano sasagipin ng mga tao, doon magkakaroon ng problema. While the cowardice or pagkaduwag, dito naman, hindi nila magagawa ang plano na ito kung meron silang kadugan. So the middle ground of these two excessively and deficiency are the middle ground, courage. Next one is the temperance. Temperance is ability to control one's desire and passion. So, for example of this, a person who enjoy eating but also value their health might have the middle ground of temperance in virtue. They might enjoy a variety of food, but they also make healthy choices and avoid overindulging in unhealthy foods with dinner. But they also know that they also know when to stop. So the middle ground, temperance, has the excessively indulgence and deficiency abstinence. So first, let's have the excessive, which is indulgence. Pagkasason uh, doesn't use the temperance or the middle ground. Ang mangyayari nito ay what? Madadagdagan yung kanyang indulgement. So, lalo siya magkapapakasasa sa food at yung kanyang health ay bababa. While the abstinence naman ay ang pag-iwas. So, hindi rin naman maganda ang pag-iwas dahil nare-restrain nito ang kagustuhan mong kumain. So, next one, honesty. Honesty is the ability to be truthful and sincere in one's action and words. So, the middle ground of honesty involves being truthful while also considering the consequence of one's word and action. For example, if the friend confides you about the personal issue, you should listen empathetically and respond with kindness and discretion. If the friends ask you for your opinion, you should be honest, but also sensitive to their feelings. If the friend's action are causing harm to others, you should speak up, but also do is in a way that is constructive and helpful rather than accusatory and judgmental. So the middle ground is honesty or pagkamatapat. So ang excessively nito ay ang blunt or pagiging diretso. Hindi mo iniisip yung magiging emotion ng kaibigan mo, kaya naman ito ay sobra. Well, the next one is deficiency. Being dishonest. Dahil nga ayaw mo namang masaktan ng kaibigan na ito, hindi ka magiging tapat. So deficiency naman is dishonest or hindi tapat. Dahil nga ayaw mo masaktan ang friend mo na ito, ang gagawin mo ay hindi mo sasabihin sa kanya ang totoo or yung your own opinion. Next one is magnificence or ability to act generosity in significant matters. For example, a healthy business person might choose to donate a significant portion of their profits to charity rather than spending it on a lavish personal luxuries. They might also use the influence to advocate their policies that benefits the community rather than solely focusing on their own interests. This demonstrate the commitment to using the resource and influence for the greater good without being overly extravagant or self-indulged. So the middle ground is magnificence or kadakilaan, while the excessiveness of this is extravagance or pagkalabis, pagmamalabis. So in this example, magnificence, a business person choose to donate instead of expending it on in lavish personal luxuries. While the deficiency of this is simplicity or pagiging simple. It is deficiency. Simplicity is deficiency because simplicity. Next one is magnificence. So what is magnificence? Magnificence is ability to act with generosity in significant matters. For example, a wealthy business person might choose to donate a significant portion of their profits to charity rather than spending it on lavish personal luxuries. They might also influence to advocate for policies that benefit the community rather than solely focusing on their own to using one's resource and influence for a greater good without being overly extravagant or self-indulged. So in this magnificence, sinasabi dito na ito ay isang middle ground because of the generosity. So paano lang siya masasabi na excessive? Kapag ito ay extravagance or kapag ang pera ay ginamit sa personal luxuries. And how about the deficiencies? Ginagamit lang ito, magiging deficiency lang siya kapag ang business persons na to ay simplicity or hindi niya ginagamit ang pera sa or hindi siya nagdo-donate ng pera sa charity or or benefit for the community. The next one is ambition. Ambition is ability, refers to finding a balance between striving for success and being realistic about one's capabilities. So for example, and finding the middle ground for ambition and virtue might be setting ambition goal for oneself while being mindful of the impact goals might have on others. So in this middle ground, the ambition or hangarin. So ang sabi niya sa ambition, this virtue is the setting of goals for oneself. Nagiging excessive lang ito kapag ang tao na yun ay too much ambitious in his goal. While deficiency is too virtuous or masyado niyang binababa ang kanyang goal. Next one is the anger. So anger is the middle ground. The middle ground for the anger is state of calm assertiveness. It involves acknowledging and addressing the source of anger in constructive and reasonable manner without allowing to escalate into unproductive or destructive outbursts. So for example, instead of yelling and throwing objects in response to a frustrating situation, a person in middle ground for anger might take a deep breath, identifying the root cause of the anger, and communicate their feelings to clear and concise manner. So sinasabi dito sa middle ground na anger na that the excessiveness of this middle ground is lashing out in range. Kapag daw tayo ay nasobrahan sa galit, ang excessiveness nito or pagkasobra ay nagwawala tayo, nag-yell tayo, or throwing objects. While the deficiency is suppressing your emotion. So, kapag galit ka, sa sobra mong galit, hindi mo na ilalabas ang emotion mo. So, for the middle ground of this virtue is to communicate, take a deep breath, and find the cause of this problem. Next one is magnanimity. So, magnanimity is the middle ground for magnanimity between the extreme narcissism and self-worth. It's a healthy balance of self-confidence and empathy. While individuals with extreme narcissism prioritize their own needs and desire above all else. With low self-worth, they struggle with self-doubt and lack confidence in their ability. So in the middle ground, magnanimity, uh, on the other term is pride. So the excessive is extreme narcissism and the deficiency is self-worth. So kapag meron kang na-achieve na isang bagay at hindi mo ito pinagyabang or uh, kung ito ay yung pinagyabang, ito yung magiging extreme narcissism or nasa excessive virtue. At ang sa deficiency naman is sense of self-worth. So bumababa ang self-worth mo dahil sinasabi na ang magnanimity, ang middle ground niya is wittiness. So what is wittiness? So wittiness is the kind of humor that a person has. So the middle ground for wittiness is the balance between being clever and humorous without being overly sarcastic or off-color. It involves in finding the right mix of humor, intelligence, the tact to appeal to a wide audience. So for example, a person who tells a joke that is both witty and appropriate for all ages would be considered to have found this middle ground. So in this wittiness daw po, in middle ground, sinasabi na kapag ang humor nito ay hindi nakaka-offend or sinasabi natin boorishness or pagiging bastos or migispang, ito ay nasa middle ground. While yung sinasabi niya natin kaninang boorishness, ito ay nasa excessive. So kapag siya ay masyadong bastos. While the deficiency naman, ito naman yung behavior that is ridiculous but amusing. So hindi siya ganong funny but hindi medyo ridiculous din naman siya. We can only say that this is a middle ground wittiness if a joke is for appropriate for all ages. Next, the middle ground for generosity is finding the balance between giving too little or giving too much. So it involves being generous with your resource, like time, talent, in a way that's sustainable and responsible. This means considering the needs of others, the impact of your action, and your own limitation. For example, if you are considered in making donation to a charity, the middle ground for generosity might be finding a cause to align with your values in giving a portion of your income without sacrificing your own stability. So generosity naman, nagiging middle ground na po ito kapag ang ibinigay mong donation is sasapat lang na mayroon ka pa sa sarili mo. So ang excessiveness nga nito ay giving too much while the deficiency is giving too little. Next one is the friendliness. So the middle ground for friendliness found in a balance between being approachable and not overly familiar. This means that being friendly and welcoming but also respecting personal boundaries. So in this middle ground friendliness, sinasabi dito na being a friend, the balance of this virtue has set a limit. For example, kapag nag-joke ka sa hindi mo kakilala, there are a certain limit that they might offend. So kailangan meron ka lang distance ng pagbibigay ng joke. So another example, You could greet someone with a smile and a friendly hello, but avoid invading their personal space. Lalo na kapag ang friend na ito ay hindi naman close friends. Or pwedeng college, ano lang, ah, katrabaho, ganon. Uh, because because invading their personal space will make them uncomfortable by being chatty and overly familiar. So the middle ground is friendliness, the excessiveness is approachable or uh, too much uh, too much invading the personal space, and the deficiency is not familiar. Next one is modesty. Modesty is the ground Modesty. The middle ground for modesty is virtue. It's not being excessively humble or arrogant. So again, the middle ground, modesty, excessive arrogant, and deficiency is excessively humble. So for example, someone who demonstrate modest virtue would avoid boasting or bragging about achievement, but also not undermine the they value their accomplishments. They would acknowledge the support and contributions of others. So as I said here, inaccessiveness, inaccessiveness, kapag sila ay overly arrogant or nagbabrag ng kanilang achievements, yun ay in too much virtue. While they are excessively humble naman, yun naman ay deficiency. So kailangan modest lang. Hindi mo siya binabrag pero hindi mo rin siya tinatanggi. So next one is the patience. So the middle ground for patience in virtue is to have a balanced approach between being too passive and too reactive. Patience, patience is ability to engage difficult situation without losing one's temper or giving up. It involves accepting things that they as they are without expecting immediate result or outcomes. So, for example, a person who patiently waiting for a promotion at work does not constantly nag their boss. So, ang sabi dito, ang trabahador na kailangan naghihintay ng promotion, hindi nila kinukulit ang boss nila, pero sila ay nagko-continuous lang ng work nila. Dine-demonstrate nila yung skills nila, pinapakita nila kung ano ang kaya nila. Hindi sila napapagod na uh, hindi sila napapagod na hindi sila napapagod o hindi sila nadi-discourage na makuha ang promotion na ito. That is the patience. So hindi kagad siya naging nag-react na hindi nag-react or na frustrate sa boss nila dahil nga sa matagal na pagbibigay ng promotion. So that is the patience. So another example, a person who is dealing with chronic illness does not become overly frustrated or angry about their condition, but instead focus in managing as best as possible in finding ways to cope with challenges at is challenge it presents. So, ang sabi naman dito sa another example na to, ang person daw na ang tao daw na may sakit na ito, hindi daw siya na papagod na maghintay kung kailan siya gagaling. So, that is the patience. Now, let's go back to the previous page. So, it says, that is why goodness is rare and praiseworthy and noble. So, It reflects his belief that the virtuous behavior is not common, but rather it requires effort, discipline, and development. So, in other words, being a good person requires a lot of thought, consideration, discernment, because there are often multiple perspective, factors, and consequence that we need to weigh. So the last one, virtue theory. So in this theory, ethical system based on defining the personal qualities that makes a person moral. So, an ethical system that focuses on defining a personal qualities that makes a person moral is a way to determine the right and the wrong action based on the person's inherent character traits. This approach emphasizes that the person's moral worth is not just determined by their action, but also by their values, their beliefs, their and virtues. The system encouraged that the cultivation of qualities such as honesty, integrity, compassion, empathy, and responsibility, which are seen as essential for leading a moral life. Overall, this system emphasizes that the importance of personal growth and development in shaping one's moral character and encourage individuals to thrive towards becoming more virtuous and responsible members of society. Next one is everyone has a purpose or a telos. So according to this concept, everything in the universe has a specific purpose or end goal that is striving to achieve. This idea suggests that there is a natural order to the world, that the things are not random or meaningless. It is also implies that there is a deeper meaning or significance to existence beyond the mere survival or pleasure seeking. The concept of telos has been explored by philosophers such as Aristotle, who believed that understanding the telos of a thing could help us understand its true nature and value. Next one is the moral living, developing characteristics best suit to produce a virtuous human being. So living in a way of a life that aims to develop a characteristic that are best suit to produce a virtuous human being. It involves in making choices and taking action that align with the moral principle and values such as honesty, kindness, respect, and responsibilities. So here's are some ways in developing these characters. Number one is to cultivate self-reflection. Take time to reflect your thoughts, feelings, and action. Then, ask yourself whether the choices align with your values and whether they will have a positive impact on others. Number two is to practice empathy. Try to understand the perspective and feelings of others. This will help you to be more compassionate and kind to your interaction with others. Number three is developing integrity. Be be true to your values and principle. Even in difficult situation, this will help you build trust with others and maintain a strong sense of self-respect. So number four is to practice forgiveness. So let go the grudges and resentments. Uh, resent, Resentments. Forgiving others Forgiving others allows you to move forward with a clear conscience and promote the healing in relationship. Number five is cultivate humility. So recognizing your own limitation and acknowledgement to contribution of others. This will help you to be more collaborative and open-minded in your interaction with others. Number six is to develop self-discipline. So to set goals for yourself, work work constantly towards achieving them. This will help you build self-confidence, and develop the discipline necessary for moral living. So that's it for
Virtue theory. Virtue theory is focuses on the person's characteristic rather than their action. Sabi dito, ang virtue theory daw ay mas nagpo-focus sa characteristic ng isang tao. Ang virtue theory ay tinutulungan tayong maging mabuting tao. Place its emphasis on practice and habit of opposite to laws written in human nature. Sabi dito, binibigyang diin ang kasanayan at ugali na taliwas sa ating batas. Sabi naman dito, virtue theory is focused on the agent, not on the act. Sabi dito, ang virtue theory daw ay mas nagpo-focus sa tao at hindi sa ginagawa nito. Nagpo-focus din ito sa pagiging mabuting tao at tinutulungan tayong makamit ang eudaimonia o ang everlasting with God. Sabi naman sa Golden Mean ni Aristotle, dinisenyo ito para naman kay Aristotle, ang virtue o ang katangian ng pag-uugali ay sinusunod ng ginintuang prinsipyo at tinutulungan tayong maging mabuting tao.
The moral perspective, the question of action. What should I do? How ought I to act? Okay, dito naman po sa the moral perspective, gaya po ng in-example ko kanina, yung parang pag nandun ka sa sitwasyon na yun, anong i-action mo? What should I do? What ought I to act? Ano ang dapat kong gawin? Kunyari po, nandun ka sa sitwasyon na yun, kailangan isipin mo kung kaya mo ba siya lutasin na ikaw mag-isa sa kaya ng abilidad mo? O kakailanganin mo pa ng ibang tao or ng authority para malutas yung isang sitwasyon kung hindi mo siya kaya lutasin? Parang, i-question mo yung action mo kung kaya mo ba siya or hindi. Ayun. Kung ano bang dapat mong gagawin sa isang sitwasyon na yon. Dito naman sa the question of character, what kind of person ought I to be? Ano nga ba ang dapat na personalidad na meron ako na dapat kong gawin? So, ayun, in a particular situation, iisipin mo kung lulutasin ko ba ito mag-isa at ipapakita ko ang tapang ko? Or lulutasin ko siya, ngunit kakailanganin ko ng tulong ng iba upang malutas ito. It's between the deficiency and excess po talaga. Kung magpapakatapang ka or magiging recklessness ka, ayun po. Ayun ang character na it's either na ipapakita mo or nasa mid ka lang, nasa mean. Ayun po. Aristotle, moral virtues. The vice deficiency stands for cowardice. The vice of excess stands for recklessness. The virtues mean a middle between excess and deficiency. Okay? The vice deficiency, not doing things enough, personality traits which are not virtues. So the vice of excess naman, doing things too much, personality traits which are not also virtues. The virtues mean a middle between the excess and deficiency. It is the middle. Okay? You can think that virtue is the midpoint between the two extreme which Aristotle called the vices. Virtue is just the right amount or the mean between deficiency and excess. Courage would be the midpoint between the extreme of cowardice and recklessness. Cowardice would be the vice of deficiency, while recklessness would be the excess, and both are bad. Okay? Halimbawa po nito ay nakasaksi ka ng pagnanakaw. Aristotle said that you definitely can have too much of a good thing. A courageous person will assess the situation. They know their own ability. and they will take action that is right in the particular situation. Sabi po dito sa deficiency, a courageous person will assess the situation if they'll know their own abilities. Kung kunyari po, kung kaya mo naman na ikaw ang makahuli dun sa magnanakaw, kung kaya naman ang abilidad mo, gagawin mo siya sa sitwasyon na yun kung ikaw ang nakakita. Ito-take mo yung action because tama siya in that particular situation. Okay, next naman. Before we end our report, I just want to say what Aristotle said, if we can just focus on being good people, the right action will follow effortlessly. Thank you for listening.